Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Night of Champions 2015. And let's just go ahead and start right from the get-go of the show. The match with Ryback and Kevin Owens. I like this match. I like the direction they went with it. Yeah, the aspect of Kevin Owens working over the shoulder throughout the entire match, and trying to negate Ryback's power throughout the entire thing was a very, very good way of going. I also do like this aspect of where they're going with Kevin Owens, that he doesn't necessarily always need to win with his pop-up powerbomb, that he will either take, not just on the aspect of taking the shortcut, he just does what he needs to do to win. I felt like they told a pretty good story here, and I felt they went in a good direction here, and it was about time that they probably gave Kevin Owens a win with the title on the line, since they had him lose a couple times before with the U.S. title on the line. But overall, I felt it was a really good match, and it didn't necessarily feel like the feud was going to end here, so that's another good way of going for them here in the very near future as well. So we'll see where they go with Ryback and Kevin Owens in the very near future with this. Up next was Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev. Not much to say here. Decent match. I have not been liking the storyline at all, and in all honesty, it makes Rusev come off as a face the entire way through. Just based off of how Dolph plays with Lana and everything like that. It's like Rusev is quote unquote the heel, but Ziggler's really the kind of the heel in the story here, so they kind of get everything reversed. So I'm almost wondering when you're gonna get a face turn from Rusev somewhere down the road. More likely, since they're probably waiting for Lana to come back from her wrist injury. We'll see where we'll see where they go with this until that time, but more than likely they'll probably be keeping this going until she comes back. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is what it is in this case. So yeah, not too much to really talk about there. They let Dolph go over with the help of Summer Rae making the mistake by looking like she was going to hit the referee, but she hits Rusev with a shoe, and not all that great of a match, but not that bad either. So up next was the Dudleys versus the New Day. And I had a good feeling that they were going to go with a DQ finish. I'm not too angry about that, even though, technically pay-per-view and DQ finishes aren't necessarily the best things in the world. But it wasn't... this feud's so short-lived that they didn't need to have a clear-cut winner right off the bat. So the DQ finish, when it looked like the Dudley Boys were about to win, I'm not too overly... that doesn't really... what's the proper terminology here? It doesn't really ruin the match in any way. It was a pretty good match from all of them, and it keeps the feud going between all of them. I like the aspect that the New Day looked like they were in complete control, and it was like, oh, we're gonna put one of the New Day or one of the Dudleys through a table. Which honestly, for getting heat purposes, I wish they kind of would have gone that route, because they could still continue the feud there, and they can boast about how they put one of the Dudleys through a table. But I'm pretty sure they're going to come up with something for the aspect that Xavier Woods went through the table as well. So we'll see where they go with the Dudley Boys and the New Day here down the road. Up next was Charlotte versus Nikki Bella. And they gave them a video package for this one. I'm not just like on Monday night, they gave them a video package right before the match here. In this match, I felt they did a lot better of a job than they did on Monday night. I'm not gonna lie. The Monday Night Raw match, I felt, the finish was just like, yeah, we're gonna make it look like this person wins the title, and then we're gonna take it off them type moment. I don't really necessarily like those moments, and the payoff that they did for this match, and honestly the story that they told throughout this entire match, was a lot better than what they did with Monday night, at least in the terms of how they began it, middle, and like the match on Monday was good for the beginning and the middle, but the end was kind of, really, you're going this route, okay? So they had Nikki Bella working over Charlotte, over Charlotte's knee throughout the entire match, making it look, or they made that look like, oh, she tweaked it when falling off of the apron. Now, they could have technically she could have technically hurt herself in some way, and they just kind of played up with it throughout the entire match. Which, if that was the case, applaud for them, going off of, going off the cup there, and it's like, hey, we got this, so let's work with it moment. Or, Charlotte played it up really well, and and sold the injury really well, and they just went, and that was the intent for the entire match. The only gripe I would have had for this one was, and I don't technically think with the way the figure 4 and the figure 8 works, it doesn't really apply too much pressure to Charlotte's knee along with it. But it would have been interesting if they would have had Charlotte have a failed attempt because of the knee injury at the figure 8 at the end of the match. But, also a really good job with her playing it up throughout the entire thing. Not just like, oh, I got the win, now my knee is fine moment. Knee is fine moment. She played up the entire knee injury throughout the whole portion of the, throughout the entire match there. And, even when Ric Flair came out to celebrate the win, like when doing the strut, she was still limping and all that. She played the knee injury up good, and I like the aspect that they went that she was able to do that throughout the entire segment of the show. That was really good stuff. Good storytelling in this match, and we'll see where they're gonna go with it. I have a feeling that they're probably gonna get Nikki away from the title for the time being, and then like I said, I have a feeling they're going to go with something with Paige and Charlotte very, very soon here. So we'll see where they go with everything. And like I said, we'll see where they go with everything and where these feuds go with the Divas here down the road. Up next was the Wyatts versus Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and a mystery partner, which, well, I'm going to go off and say it right off the bat here. Really, fan, why? Why are you jumping in the ring? Something's gonna happen. To me, it's a waste of money, and maybe to me it'd be like a waste of money of going to the show and jumping the barricade and getting kicked out. Now, granted, I could go to the show and be disappointed, but in most cases, if you're going to the show, you want to try to stick through the whole thing. It's like, no, I'm gonna try to shove the limelight on myself and jump the barricade, and it's like, whatever. I've never been a big proponent of the fans are part of the show type thing, because I don't think they are. The chance they can do everything like that, but I don't necessarily find that to be the main part of the show, is what they're chanting or what they're doing. It's more what's going on in the ring and what stories they're trying to tell. And that's my perspective on everything on that side. So, with that out of the way, well, I kind of give that away. It's like their mystery part. It ends up being Chris Jericho. And honestly, I don't have a problem with this choice here. Mainly because Jericho's had past with the Wyatt family, and there's like technically no full-on resolution with him and the Wyatt family in any way, shape, or form. So I'm actually okay with this choice, for even if it's like a one-off or what they're going to do. But they definitely played it up like there's going to be something more with Chris Jericho down the road at the end of the match when he loses it and kind of storms off, shoving Dean Ambrose out of the way and just walking out on both of them at that point. So we'll see if they're going to go anywhere with this, and if it's going to be anywhere anytime soon that they're going to go with anything as well. So in the end, the match with them I felt was a pretty good 6-man tag. I like the Jericho being the mystery partner, since he's had history with the Wyatts in the past. That was a good way of going. So let's see where they go with everything here, because they're not going to end this with Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and the Wyatt family. So we'll see where they go with everything there, and how basically like what partners they're going to be coming up with here in the very near future. More than likely Randy Orton. Just kind of not necessarily insta feud, but just kind of, oh, I've been attacked by the Wyatts, now I want revenge type thing. So more than likely Randy Orton down the road. So this brings me to the two final matches of the night, which will both involve Seth Rollins. His first match with John Cena, pretty good match. Again, basically the same match that you got last month with SummerSlam, minus what I felt was just dumb having Jon Stewart interfere in the match and costing Cena the match in that case. But otherwise, pretty much the same match, with the exception of Cena winning the U.S. title back. I felt like Seth Rollins was going to lose one of the titles tonight. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be the U.S. title. I was kind of hoping they would have Sting win the World Heavyweight title in this case, but they didn't. But they did not go that route. I can't knock the match with Sting, because honestly, up until that very end where you saw him collapse and everything like that, and it turned out that he was legitimately injured afterwards, the match was actually really good. What was it? Sting did everything in his power to put Seth Rollins over. And like in any way, he also did like everything possible to make sure the match was still good. He, going through the announce table, taking a dive off the top rope to the outside of the ring. These are things he doesn't necessarily need to do, but he wanted to do them to make the match as good as possible and give the fans, their money's worth for the show. I can applaud Sting on that one. I hope he's not severely injured to the point that it's either career-threatening, which is what some people are saying right now. But like I said, you don't want to see these guys get honestly injured in any way in their careers, especially for someone like Sting who's been around for a while. You don't want something in that sense to be the final match be something like that. You kind of want them to go out on their own terms. You don't want them to go out because, hey, an injury happened during a match. And honestly, it could have happened to anybody in any circumstance there. So I'm not going to knock this match. I thought it was actually pretty good up until until Sting had gotten injured, and then you could tell, like especially after he fell in the middle of the ring, that they were going straight to the finish, which is a good thing right there, that they decided to go straight to the finish afterwards, because he wanted to continue, but more likely probably shouldn't have at that point in time. So overall, Night of Champions wasn't a bad show. It wasn't a horrible show by any stretch. It wasn't a great show. I felt you got some pretty good matches out of it. I'm not a big fan of some of the storylines that were going on, especially with Dolph Ziggler and Rusev. Cena winning back the United States title in the end is not a bad thing, because honestly, one of the bigger entertaining portions of the show was the whole U.S. Open Challenge. So we'll see if they bring that back with Cena having the title again. And we'll see where they go with everything going into Monday Night Raw. So, again, overall, pretty good show. Nothing spectacular. And like I said, I really liked the match with Sting and Seth Rollins before Sting got injured within the match. So I'm not going to knock that match or its ending by any stretch of the imagination, because knowing the fact that he got injured and in some way caused the way that they finished that match. So again, overall, pretty good show. Pretty good show for Night of Champions, and we'll see, like I said, we'll see where they go with everything. And that is my review for WWE Night of Champions, and I thank you guys for watching.